Sam actually started having seizures when he was about 7 months old. They could last a couple minutes, they could last 25 minutes on several occasions. He had seizures that lasted up to 25 minutes where he stopped breathing. It was terrible. And we were just brand new parents, and we were just learning sort of the ropes of feeding and nap time schedules. And here we are meeting with neurologists and epileptologists. As each month goes by and Sam does not hit a developmental milestone, the worry for us gets greater and greater. There's a lot that he can't do for what a normal developing 15-and-a-half-month-old could do. And as time goes by and that gap doesn't narrow, the probability of him having some damaging long-term effects increases, more and more. There's so many unanswered questions in regards to epilepsy, and it's a disease that you just don't know who it's going to affect next. You just don't know.
When Daryl was 15 months old, he started having seizures. We went to the emergency room. The doctors put him on medication. The seizures didn't subside. We went from medication to medication, and I just felt that nothing would work. I can remember one day when Daryl had like 7 seizures in one day, and I was just saying, my God, when is it gonna stop? And the doctors were saying, oh, he'll be okay. But you're having seizures, 7 seizures in one day, how can you, predict that he would be okay?
Brett woke up one day and said he had a terrible, terrible headache and was talking to us like not coherent. And they basically said it was viral encephalitis, some virus that attacked the brain. Sent us home and thought it would take a matter of maybe 6 months for him to maybe recoup, let the brain calm down and recover. And we were waiting for that, and he progressively seemed to be getting worse. Then we got up to 50 seizures a month.
And the medication and his seizures are having a significant challenge for his cognitive ability. And the challenge is all the things that he's forgotten from the past, like names of people and all those things. The one thing he hasn't forgotten is who he was as a kid and what he could do. And that's the reference point that he has.
All my reading used to be very quickly, but right now it takes me about 30 seconds to get a whole sentence done.
If we could only get these seizures under control or stop the seizures, I could deal with what the future is going to hold. But we've had his neurological testing done and everything's gone downhill so much in a year, and there's no way to know. Is it due to the seizures or is it due to the meds? You can't stop the meds because then you'll have all the seizures clustering again. All that we've learned in this last 18 months, I try not to look back because it breaks my heart, and I try not to look forward because it scares me to death.
Isn't that pretty? What else did you get for your birthday? Do you remember? Julie is 18 years old now. She began having seizures when she was 3.5 years old. And when she started to go through adolescence, her seizures really started to pick up in frequency. And nothing really helped Julie's seizures. And she was then evaluated for surgery. And in April of '99, she underwent a left temporal lobectomy. Things were starting to look up. However, in the fall, she had another seizure. And then a few months later, another. And then the seizures started to get more frequent. And we tried switching medication again. And with the knowledge that she was just going downhill with, as she was, we elected to have our daughter have the surgery. Julie had the surgery, and what the surgeon did was remove the remaining part of her left temporal lobe, her left parietal lobe, and a portion of her left frontal lobe, and her part of her occipital lobe. And any remaining connections between her left hemisphere and the rest of her brain were also cut. I just look at what she was like before the surgery. And then we put her through this devastating, catastrophic type of a procedure, only to have the seizures occur again. After 6 months, she had this cluster of seizures. 6 weeks later, she has another cluster of seizures, only much more frequent. I live in dread of this. My wife lives in dread of this, because there's nothing left after this.
Chris was our third child. He was a great kid, a happy child. He had his first seizure when he was in 4th grade. I remember thinking, well, this is something we can deal with. He can take the medicine and everything will be all right. And he was away at school. He never told us that his seizures had not stopped. I think he didn't want to lose his license. I think he didn't want to come home. I think he thought he could figure it out himself. Chris was very positive at that point, and I guess he was until his death. He was alone in bed, and the detective that we spoke to said he had all his books open studying, and he had been filling out an application for summer employment. Finding a cure is the only acceptable goal. I saw Chris live with medicines, and it's great that there are medicines out there, but they're unacceptable with the side effects that they have now, what they do to a person taking them. We need research into better medicines with less side effects, but it's not acceptable to live with seizures, and it's certainly not acceptable to die from them.
Moving the whole field forward is our only hope, and you know, we can't just complacently sit by and recapitulate things that we learned 20 or 30 years ago. We have to constantly be pushing it and striving to do something better. CURE provides a really critical step. It's giving researchers an opportunity to explore novel ideas, to get enough data to the point where they have a critical mass and they can approach a federal agency or a pharmaceutical company and say, let's test this particular treatment. Funding people at critical phases in their career, what you've in effect done is saying, we're interested in this, please do this work, and moreover, hopefully, you know, remain focused and interested in this topic. And I think that is an excellent strategy for moving the whole field forward.